Ah, let's discuss this. Let's discuss this. And before I do, just bear me 2 seconds. Right, back to discuss that absolute monstrosity of a performance. That's only one way to describe it. Didn't watch it to the end. Well, I did watch it at the end, but missed out a whole chunk in the middle. By that stage, he was already 2-0 down. Goals from Giroud and Timo Werner. Even Timo Werner's getting in the score sheet. That's how bad we are. I mean, we're offering now players that are not even in form. I think he's not scored in like 100 games. I don't know. He's not scored in a long while. I'm sure Statman Keith, when he gets here, can correct me that I'm horribly wrong. But yeah, shout out to you, Thomas, as well, mate. Even mate, absolutely shambolic game. Bruce out. Look, it's one of those ones where we wasn't even expected to win it, but at the same moment in time, boy, that was just horrendous. Thomas, bear with me. I'm just going to invite some more people in, so just bear with me. I'm coming back. Right, back. So yeah, just had to send some more people the links to this. Hopefully, might get some people listening in if they want to. If they don't, I fully understand. But yeah, let's discuss this. So Chelsea 2, Newcastle 0. Bruce out, as Thomas said already. We are shy, and yeah, I don't know what more to say apart from that. No, I do know what to say. Lineup wise, obviously we had Wilson out, so that's always going to be a problem. Dwight Gale played apparently. Not that I saw much of him. I probably saw more of Jamal Lascelles with his amazing tackle that put Tammy Abraham out, and then obviously we ended up bloody getting Giroud in, who then goes up to score. But again, our player wise, tell me who stood out, because from what I've seen for the 20 minutes or so that I watched at different parts of the game, we were horrendous. Liam, no one cares anymore because this club is dead. If fans are back next season, fans should spend money at local non-league clubs or something. That's what I'll be doing. I totally agree. We've been saying it so many times, whether you're in Newcastle, whether you're in London, whether you're in the Midlands watching Newcastle, don't waste your money on them until this gets sorted. And I mean really sorted, not no flipping plaster over a massive gash wound in Graham Jones. Yes, I can big him up all you want with his 2 wins under his belt, but at the same time, it's never going to solve the proper process. There we go. Statman Keith was waiting for you, mate. yeah, nothing's going to solve that. I would definitely invest in something else, maybe a different sport altogether. But good point. English Rob, good evening, sir. The players were beat before a ball was even kicked. I totally agree. And this is what annoys me as well. When we've got these free hits, as we call them, we've got Man United up next as well. Why not have a go? We're already expected to lose. What is the point just turning up already defeated? Because again, you're not even going to barely get out of half. I don't think we even had a shot in the first half, I believe. I don't know. Or definitely not one on target that I can remember. So what is the point coming to these games with that sort of defeated mentality? That annoys me. Every single manager I think we've had, barring, I don't know, maybe barring Rafa, of recent years anyway, we've always had that same mentality. Oh, we're playing a top four side. We're never going to win anything. Like, no, there's different ways to play. Yes, we might not have the players to match these teams, but at the same moment in time, we could get a way or a system of playing. It might not look great on the eye. Obviously, when we did a demolition job on Man City under Rafa, do you know what I mean? It didn't look great on the eye, but we still got results. And this is like where tactical, now comes in. But boy, we all know what Bruce and tactics are like anyway. Anyway, Statman Keith, I'm going to read this one. And I was saying at the start of this stream that when was the last time Werner scored? Because again, we seem to give players or clubs a platform that whenever they've gone missing, whenever a player's not scoring, whenever a team's not performing well, they come up against us and then they score or they get whatever they need to do. It's just always that sort of luck. So what I was saying, that Werner's not scored in like 100 or so minutes, I believe, something along those lines, but I just wanted to kind of get it right. So if you got a minute, mate, yeah, let me know. Just give me 2 seconds. I'm just going to invite someone else in. 2 minutes. And I'm back. So, Statman Keeper said, even before Newcastle's woeful run at Stamford Bridge continues. 1 win, 6 draws, 18 defeats in 25 games. Those are the stats that we love. Those are the stats that we love. Not. I can't add no more to that, mate. Statman Liam. I'm giving you new names now. Apart from Leighton Orient, the team I make support if I can't watch them. I've got teams like Dutch Hamlet around where I live. Better off investing in them, mate. Better off investing in. And look, we have Mr. Smiler, who's wanted to come on the channel for years upon years.
What channel is this?
Look, we have Mr. Smiler. Oh, hold on, to come on the channel for years upon years.
What channel is this?
I don't know what channel this is. Mr. There we go.
What's that? Are you watching yourself again?
Oh, yeah, just trying to get my views up, mate. Sorry, I was just reading through all these comments. One more. I was going to go through Statman Keith because he loves to drop all these gems. So Newcastle need Burnley to do them a favour against Fulham on Wednesday already. And we're not even at the end of February yet. We're relying on other teams to do us a favour. Amazing. What
a horrible feeling that we're going to be Burnley fans.
Oh dear. I know. Oh, we've got Pete as well here there. Come on down, Pete.
Oh, Pete's my guy. I've never been on a live stream with Pete before. I like his stuff.
How you doing, guys? You okay?
No. We've been better, mate. We've been better.
Tell me about it.
Thoughts on that performance? Because I only watched 20 minutes of that whole 90 minutes. I couldn't watch the whole of it. We went 2-0 down. I switched off, watched EastEnders, watched something else. Sam, we were 2-0 down against Chelsea. We barely laced the glove on.
Yeah, that's good, isn't it? Normally it's like 3 or 4 or 5.
That's an improvement.
Yeah, I was disappointed with. Do you know what? I was disappointed with ASM and Hayden tonight. ASM was horrendous, and Hayden in the first half wasn't getting across to help out Kraft. There wasn't enough cover. They were just running rings around. There was just no width. in our team, which is one of the hazards of playing that system with a narrow midfield three. Alonso and Werner were having a field day, and fair play for Werner for not rushing off to hospital with that cut lip. He battled on. He battled on. The amount. I mean, Jamal Lewis is going to be the next heavyweight champion of the world.
Yeah, with that elbow slash slap. I mean, look, I've asked Statman Keith to get me the stats, but we've actually made Werner actually look half decent. Do you know what I mean? Teams can turn up against us, and look at Sheffield United. Hadn't won in donkey's years, win against us. Timo Werner hasn't scored in donkey's years, scores against us. We're just record breakers, but for the wrong reasons. Do you know what I mean? So it's what we do. Pete, how did you find that performance again?
I'll be honest with you, it was what I expected. I didn't expect anything different. I've said it for a while now. The Chelsea and the Man United games are free hits, regardless of what Fulham are doing, regardless of what West Brom and Sheffield United are doing. They are free hits, and I expected us to lose. If we were going to get anything out of these two games, Chelsea and Man United, we have to score first. As soon as the first goal went in, the game was over, because we haven't got the mentality that's strong enough to be able to get us back into these games against these type of teams. We have to score first and have something to hold on to give us any sort of chance whatsoever. So I expected it. The thing that I didn't expect was to see how bad shape Hayden was tonight. I didn't expect to see how bad Dwight Gale was. It was built up today that, Dwight Gale is going to get his chance. He's going to be the one to take over the Wilson mantle, and he was just really bad.
Where was he
in this system?
I missed him. Where was Dwight Gale?
Well, it was literally just like for like, wasn't it? Just where Wilson was kind of drifting out on the right, and it just didn't work. Tonight was a night for Andy Carroll, and we saw that when he came on, hassling the centre-backs. It was a night for Carroll to get some crosses in the box, but it never happened.
If you'd have asked me, Sam, before the game, I would have said Gale should start. He should be the one to start, because he's the one that's more like Callum Wilson that could probably get something for us going forward, and he's got a knack of getting a goal. But actually, you could see after about 5 or 10 minutes that it was just completely the wrong decision, because the one thing, and this is the thing that a lot of fans have maybe taken for granted this season about Callum Wilson, is that he has the ability to hold the ball up there. He makes the ball stick. Yes, he runs in and behind. Yes, he scores goals, but he actually, for a guy that's not physically massive, actually can contest against big, strong centre-backs and make it difficult for them. And that's one of the keys to making this system work. And if you watch Dwight Gale in the first 25 minutes, every 50-50 he pulled out of, whether it was in the air, whether it was on the ground, you have to make yourself big. You have to put yourself about. You have to be in a position where you're putting yourself in a position to get yourself hurt in order to win free kicks higher up the pitch or hold on to the ball. He didn't do it. And then he didn't work hard enough off the ball. It was a really bad performance from him that let us down massively in a crucial, critical position. And like you said, Sam, the last 10, 15 minutes when Carroll came on, he gave us that. But the only problem I have with Andy Carroll is that he'll give us that for 10 minutes against Chelsea. You put him in against Man United and he'll probably play absolutely horrifically. And there's no consistency there. And that's the biggest part, is that we've got two strikers that are capable of coming in for Callum Wilson that we can't bank on. We can't bank on them. We don't know how they're going to perform, and whether they're going to perform well or not. So they were the two real standout, disappointing performances for me. And then you throw Kraft into it, that's just a bag of absolute shit.
Wait, don't talk to me about Kraft. Oh my God!
There's a lot of people that talked about. That first goal against Timo Werner down the our right hand side. There is no way, shape, or form that he should have allowed that ball to come into the box. As an international right back for Sweden, rule number one: you don't let that cross go in, right? And he's allowed Werner not just to. Werner's starting position was way beyond Kraft. He's then beat Kraft and got the ball in without any sort of, stopping it or any sort of contact or any sort of difficulty, of course you're going to concede goals that way. It was horrific. It was absolutely horrific. And you're right, Sam. There wasn't that support from Hayden. Everyone said there was a lot of people online and a lot of people on the other stream that I was on that was saying that should be Lascelles getting across. No, he's a centre back. He has his position on the 6-yard box. That's where he needs to be. As a centre back, that is what you should be doing. It should be your midfielders or your wings to come back and support. And Hayden should have been there, and he wasn't. So he's the one that takes the can for not supporting his fellow teammate. And it's those kind of things that let us down. It was a 5 or 10 minute spell of poor defending that's lost us the game. And it's so disappointing because Chelsea weren't great. Chelsea were not good at all, right? And they were there for the taking. Any other team in the league would have caused them problems today. And that's the biggest frustration about it all.
Sam,
yeah. The thing is, so you look at Chelsea and to pick up on Pete's point about Kraft, and as I said before, with Hayden not pulling across, you look at the other side. So ASM had one tiny little moment where he ran rings around Azpilicueta, and I thought, oh, okay, bit of potential there. But then that was that. Kovacic came across from then on, and then that was that. Threat nullified, and ASM wasn't in the rest of the game at all. I would have started Carroll tonight, as if you were a member of Newcastle Fans TV, you would know, because you would have looked at my members' exclusive content. But yes, I would definitely have gone for Carroll. It was a night for Carroll for me. I mean, Joe Linton outperformed Dwight Gale when he came on. So that tells you all you need to know.
I don't think I've ever heard that. I don't think I'll ever hear that again.
Yeah, it's true, though. That's the alarming thing. And also, John Joe Shelby was probably the best out of the 3 midfielders tonight as well, which is even more concerning. Although I did think Willock was just getting into the game just before he got taken off, forced that good save from Kepa, but that was it. Miggy ran around, but didn't have the same effect he did the other night. Frustrating. It's going to be a long 2 months without Callum Wilson because Dwight Gale's just a proven championship goal scorer that can't cut it in the Premier League. There'll be games for him.
Yeah.
There'll be games for him, but tonight was not one.
Why do we go into these sort of games with this sort of mentality, this already beaten mentality? I don't understand it. Like, we all say, Chelsea's a free hit, Manchester United's a free hit. But at the same time, if we're going there with this mentality of to lose, we're going to lose. I don't understand it. Like, why not actually try and go for it like we've done against Everton, or do you know what I mean? Teams like that where I don't think we was expected to get anything from Everton. We did, but when it came to Chelsea, we already got this kind of notion of they're a top 4 club. Okay, we need to sit back. I don't understand it. It baffles me. Still,
it's a mentality issue. It's been ingrained in us for, this doesn't go back 1 or 2 years. This doesn't go back 13, 14 years in the Ashley era. This goes back 25, 30 years in terms of our application to the big teams away from home. We were losing games away from home at Stamford Bridge and Highbury and Old Trafford, and Anfield when we were the entertainers. This is not anything new. And this is a mentality that's been ingrained in us for so long. So as fans of the club that's been the best part of our lives, following this club, we know when we're going to lose games and when we're not, and our mentality towards games. And that's the absolute reality of it. We know going into this game that we're not going to go out free-flowing and disrupt them. The key to us getting any points at any of these type of grounds is if we score first. If we score first or we get later on into a game and we haven't conceded, that we think, actually, we've got a chance here because it puts a little bit of pressure on the opposition. That's the only way we get points out of this game. It's that simple. And, they are free hits. We know that. They've got better players than us. We've lost 3 crucial players in Wilson, Manquillo and Shaw, who all 3 of them were playing well under this new system and this new way of playing. all three of them were playing really well. So to lose them and have the likes of Kraft come in, to have the likes of Gale come in, to have the likes of Lascelles come in, who wasn't great at all tonight, is
Oh, I don't know.
that's the big part of our issue. But look, for these next two games, they are free hits. I've said it before and I've said it again. The next 7 games after that will define our season because they are against teams that we can pick up points. The biggest disappointment about that is that we're going to lose Callum Wilson for those 7 games, pretty much. So where we think we can get points that can keep us in the league, we're going to have to do it in those winnable games without him, and we're going to have to find some courage and some some positivity from somewhere.
Just seeing the stat from Statman Keith talking about Werner's last goal was on the 7th of November in Chelsea's 4-1 win against Sheffield United. So
Prolific.
up steps Newcastle, 15th of February, the day after Valentine's Day. Here's a delayed present, guys. Here you go.
That's it.
There you go, Timo. You know what I mean? On the plate for your son.
And Kappa, have a clean sheet. There you go.
Kepa, the guy that was pretty much on his way out, the guy that had to be playing Splinter because Mendy was playing and he was pretty much out the door. He gets a clean sheet as well. I mean,
what a boost for them. What a boost.
What a boost. What a
Lovely.
boost. I'm glad we could be of use somehow. You know what I mean, fellas? Yeah, look, I'm seeing Bruce out, but nothing's changed there. What happened to the Graham Jones bounce, Sam?
No, you've come to me because you know.
Oh, you got on mute. You turned yourself off. Mate. There you go. You're back. I can't hear you now.
What about now?
There we go.
Good job we didn't panic. Yeah, I'm not a fan of this Graham Jones bounce. He was being maligned when he came in, but we won 1 game, so all of a sudden he's an absolute god. I mean, there's no. I hate to burst people's bubble, but Graham Jones is not the manager. I'm sorry to say. He's a very good coach, got a good reputation round, but good coaches don't always make good managers either. There's been plenty through history, Fordy. We had this conversation the other night. Brian Kidd, amazing coach, rubbish manager at Blackburn. There are loads. Name me some. John Carver. Look at John Carver. Sir Bobby Robson's assistant. Woeful manager. Woeful. Sammy Lee, cracking coach. Horrendous manager when he took over Bolton. There's loads, but there's no Graham Jones bounce. There never was. Bruce was just flicking through his penguin book of football formations, got lucky with one at Everton, which to be fair, the form of that result has actually taken a dip, especially the other night after Fulham did them over, because they did not look clever at all. They've got Man City next as well, so they could be on the end of a spank in the way they're going. But I still think we only need about 3 more wins and that'll do. 40 points is a myth. It'll probably be only 34 required, something like that, 34, 35. So Burnley away, like Keith's in the comments there, Burnley away, West Brom away, that's huge. Sheffield United at home, and the big one, last game of the season, Fulham away. Wow. What a final day of the season that could be. That's going to be uncomfortable. But I don't buy into this Graham Jones myth. I have to be honest. I do apologise for Graham Jones. I'm a fan of his. Done brilliant. Great to have some fresh impetus, a new voice, because the 3 Steves, and I'm not including Steve Harper because he's a club legend, but the 3 Steves did look, they still do look clueless, didn't we? Did you see the pictures tonight of Graham Jones talking Steve Clements through the tactical board on the subs bench? Looks like he was tutoring him on how to work a touch screen. It was, but I don't know. The intensity needs to pick up for the next game as opposed to the Graham Jones bounce effect.
I'm still laughing at this comment from Dino saying we made Werner look like Brazilian Ronaldo. I mean, it's kind of true in a way. It's funny, but it's kind of true. Look, Pete, how have we got to this point where we're looking over our shoulder? We're hoping. Look, Fulham just won a game finally, literally the other night. How we got to this point where we're looking over our shoulder? We're 17th, teetering I know it's 7 points, but those 7 points could be just gone like that because I think they've got 2 games before we play our next game, right? Something like that.
Yeah, they could be 1 point behind us by the time we next play at Old Trafford. That's the reality. However, look, any Newcastle fan that knows this club and is worth their salt would have foreseen this back in November. We could see that we weren't playing well. We could see that we weren't progressing or going forward as a club and as a starting 11 on the pitch. And that's why we went on such a horrible run. Graham Jones isn't the manager. It's quite clear that he isn't. However, he has clearly come in and made a difference to this team. And he's made a difference by the formation that he's put out, and he's made a difference by the way in which he's telling these players to play in a particular way. Now, it wouldn't have shown tonight because we didn't play well tonight, but the system, you can look at Everton, you can look at, you can go even as far back as Leeds, and you can have a look at that, and you can see that we've made improvements. We are more of an expansive attacking team, although albeit not tonight. And that comes from him. Now, one of the things I mentioned a couple of weeks ago with regards to Graham Jones is that, when I saw that performance at Everton, it reminded me of something. I was like, where does that remind me of? And it reminded me of Bournemouth. And if you look at the way Bournemouth set their team up, and you look at the way they played last season, it literally mirrors how we're playing right now. So that even further convinces me that actually his way and his style of play has been implemented into this team, because it was quite clear for the 11 games before that Bruce did not have a clue what to do. He was chopping and changing his system every week. He was chopping and changing his personnel every week. And it was all over the place. And we were going from one loss to the next to the other. What Graham Jones has come in and said, right, this is how we play. We stick with this and we find the personnel to fit this system. So I do think he's come in and had an influence on this team. I put a picture out earlier on.
Did you say Bournemouth? Sorry, Pete. Did you say Bournemouth last season reminded you of how Graham Jones?
Well, yeah, there was times last season the way in which Bournemouth set up.
He wasn't there last season.
He was there last season.
He wasn't there last season. He was appointed under Jason Tindall at the start of this season. He was at Luton last season, managing. He got sacked.
Yeah, but and then he went into Bournemouth.
Jason Tindall hired him, not Eddie Howe.
I was pretty sure that it was under Eddie Howe he got appointed.
This is a job for Wikipedia. Sorry to interrupt.
Okay, no, regardless, my point still stands. My point still stands in that, in actual fact, I believe he's come in and made a difference to this team, because you look at the 11 games and actually you can go back to the rest of the season before him coming in. We did not have an attacking bone in our body, and we did not know how to be progressive as a team. He's come in and I believe he's made that difference. Steve Bruce is still the manager. He makes that final decision, but he's been brought in for a reason. So that needs to definitely 100% be respected. In terms of how we go forward, for me, we've got 7 games after Man United where we can pick up points, and we have to pick up those points. We have to beat those teams in and around us in order to stay in this league. Do I think we can stay in this league? 100%. Because equally, when we have that run of 7 games, after Fulham have played Burnley, Sheffield United and Palace, which are their next 3, up until I think 3 games before the end of the season, they have a run where they play pretty much everybody in the top half of the table. They still play Man United. They still play Man City. They still play Liverpool. They've still got the top teams, the Arsenals, the Villas, that are all flying high, your West Hams. They've still got those top teams to play. I think they've only got 1 or 2 teams, if you count us, Leeds and Burnley, after those 3 games that they have to play in the remaining part of the season. So they've still got the pressure on. They're having a run at the moment where they're playing teams either not playing well or in and around us, but they're going to have a run now after that where they're playing teams that are chasing things, that are looking to win leagues or get Champions League or get Europe. And that's not easy. So that's where the tables can turn again. So, I still believe we can get out of this, but
We've got to get players back onto the pitch, and we need to keep our confidence. We can't go and get a hiding at Old Trafford because confidence is going to be shot for when we play Wolves. And Wolves, for me, at home is a winnable game. They haven't played that well and travelled well to St James's Park, and I believe we can get something from them.
I'm just going to read out a couple of comments. One that made you tickle.
I do have the answer. I checked Wikipedia. I've already put that list away. That is so depressing.
It made you laugh, innit? So I'm just getting it back out again. So that are still available: Hughes, Pulis, Pearson, and Pardew. Look at that list, still available, just in case we want to pull the plug.
All of a sudden, Nigel Pearson looks like Alf Ramsey in that list.
Stat Monkey said, I don't want Newcastle United to go through Craven Cottage to get a result against Fulham to stay up. Apart from the recent 4-0 win against them at the end of the season, Newcastle United have an awful record against Fulham away. Also, Bradley Morris is saying, but remember, Bournemouth did get relegated playing that style of football. Good point. Liam saying, Graham Jones was the Luton manager before Nathan Jones got reappointed. I think that's what you're going to say,
Yeah,
Sam.
it was. So Graham Jones didn't join Bournemouth until the start of this season.
Dino saying, thing with us is we're always 1 or 2 injuries away from being in trouble on the cabbage head. That's far too often. And then someone's mentioned Eddie Howe as well. Liam's mentioned Eddie Howe as well. I mean, look, what sort of changes can we make? Obviously, we can't make any, well, we can make managerial change, but it's not going to happen. Let's face it. Our managerial change was Graham Jones. But what sort of change can we make to try and rectify this? Because again, I'm still worried. Like Manchester United's pretty much going to be a write-off if it's going to be anything to go by. Those 7 games, like you mentioned, Pete, we're going to do without Wilson, so we're going to have to rely on the likes of Gale, Joe Linton, or Carroll up front.
Should have recalled Muto. Should have recalled him.
Is that the change, Sam, that we need to make? Muto.
No.
Out of all the changes that we can make, we could bring Lejeune back. Well, I probably can't. But
no, we can't. We can't now because the 25-man squad's been done. We Atsu's the man.
I mean, Atsu, yes, is that it? Atsu is the guy. Is that what you're trying to tell me?
No, it is not. One thing I will tell you is I guarantee you Bruce will go back to a back 5 at Man United on Sunday. I'm pretty certain. And you'll probably see Hayden slip back into to defence. And, Jeffrey's back available after his suspension.
Oh, he's only got 1 game. Oh,
2 yellows, wasn't it?
Oh, no. Oh, no. Why could it be? 2 games, surely. No.
Yeah, you want to appeal to try and make us lose the appeal so we get more games.
Please.
Yeah, I know. But I don't know. In terms of changes, I would like to see giving Carroll a proper go. You can't get form when you're only playing a maximum of 15 minutes. I mean, he got 50 minutes tonight, but the previous few games, he's got 5 minutes, if that. He's got stoppage time to do something, which isn't enough. The last full game he played was Arsenal in the FA Cup. He had a blinder, should have won us the tie. But he's not had a decent run of the team, which is surprising considering he's actually managed to keep himself fit for once in his life. So
he needs to get paid, right? He's on a pay-as-you-play, so he needs
exactly. To well, if he starts on Sunday, he'll get injured. So then, it's Big Joe all the way, isn't it? But I'd like to see a bit more of Carroll because for some reason I just tend to have more faith in him than Dwight Gale, which tells you the severity of the situation.
Pete, what changes would you make apart from the 3 stunning strikers that we've got to choose from?
Well, the formation shouldn't change. I think the formation will allow us to get forward and create chances, albeit it didn't really tonight, or it probably won't on next Sunday. But I think that's the formation that will keep us in the league. Look, there is no replacement for Callum Wilson. There's no replacement for Javier Manquillo because Kraft is just not good enough. Gale and Carrot are not good enough. But if you're going to ask me who I would prefer to play up there, up top, I would go Carroll right now. And the only reason I would go Carroll is because Carroll actually, he's a Geordie and he loves the club and he's going to fight for the club between now and the end of the season. For me, I think Dwight Gale is finished with Newcastle. And I think his attitude and the way he's been, certainly this season, but for me, it goes back a couple of years at least. His mentality with Newcastle is that he's not interested, and it's showing even more recently. I personally believe that he's told Steve Bruce and the club that he doesn't want to sign another contract and that he wants to leave, and I think that's why he's not been playing. He's been fit, he's been training, he's been involved, but he's not been playing. And you think, well, why? He's a genuine goal scorer, maybe not Premier League level, but he's more likely to get a goal than Carroll, and it's because I think he's told them that he wants to leave. And when you've got a player like that that's not fully committed mentally and physically to the club in a relegation battle, it's not the right mix. So I would go with Carroll against Man United. I think physically, West Brom really bullied Man United on Sunday and created chances on the back of bullying Maguire and Lindelof. And I think Carroll could potentially do that and open up some channels. In terms of the other positions, I wouldn't really change too much. Purely because we can't really. I mean, if I was going to change anything, I'd bring Fernandes back in and take Lascelles out because I think Fernandes and Clark are a better partnership. And I would start Dubravka. Dubravka's our number one and is a by far better keeper. Again, Darlow didn't have a great night tonight. I thought he was poor for both goals. Again, I don't think he was great in the last game either. If I'm honest, certainly for Minamito's goal and for the free kick, I thought he was poorly positioned for that. Although it was a fantastic free kick, you know where it's going with Ward-Prowse, and I thought he was far too much over one side. So yeah, I would start Dubravka. You play your number ones if you're in a relegation battle. You play your best players, no matter how good of a season the other players had. And Dubravka for me comes back in. So there'd be my changes for the Man United game. And then we go from there.
Yeah, I agree.
I still feel like Gal's getting a bit. I think it's a bit mixed with Gal, only because like I feel like he's been pushed out to one side and then he's brought back in for a game or two, and then he's pushed out again. And I can kind of see he's frustrating from his side.
There'll be games for him.
Yeah,
there will. Like West Brom away. That's a game for Dwight Gale.
Yeah,
that's a Dwight Gale game. But Chelsea away, Man United away, Wolves at home. Nah, they're not Dwight Gale games.
I expected better tonight from him. For a guy that's been told he's going to be given a chance, I expected him to work harder. I expected him to hold the ball better. I expected him to at least go in for 50-50s, and he didn't. He literally backed out of everything. And that just tells me that that's a guy that's not committed. Whereas you saw Carroll for that 10 or 15 minutes when he came on, he was a battering ram. And for that 10 or 15 minutes, those two centre-backs knew they were in a game. And that's what we need. If we've not got a Callum Wilson who's intelligent, that can make runs in and behind and has great movement, but can also hold up against big, strong centre-backs for his frame, he's strong himself, deceptively strong. If we haven't got that player that can do a bit of everything, you need someone that's going to make a menace in that centre-back pairing. And Gale didn't do that at all tonight against a pairing of Rudiger and Christensen. For me, that is not a great pairing at all and should have been got at, and it wasn't. So that's my frustration about Gale. But I'll just go back to the 2 years. For me, when Rondon came in and he had to make way for him, that was when Gale switched off for Newcastle United, in my opinion. I feel that he felt let down by the club for being a make way in a signing that they wanted. Now, did Rafa Benitez want him to go? No. And he openly said he didn't want him to go. He wanted him to work with Rondon and play together. But in order to get Rondon in, he had to sacrifice him. And I don't think since that point that Dwight Gale has been fully committed to the club since then. And I don't think he's had any intentions of signing another contract. The only reason he's still with us is because he's on so much money because he had to sign an extension, an increase on his wages in order to get that move to West Brom.
Yeah.
So therefore, when we've tried to flog him since, nobody can afford him. Particularly the Championship clubs that want him, they can't afford his wages. So the only way he's been able to kind of continue on that wage is by staying at the club. So I personally think if you've got a player that's not fully committed to the club, they shouldn't play. He can be an impact player, fine, no problem. But he shouldn't be a starter if he's not committed. He can't be playing the majority of the games if he's not fully committed to the club.
There's only one reason why I would be offering Dwight Gale a new contract, and that reason would be if we go down. If we go down, I want Dwight Gale in the Championship. That is it. He's not a Premier League player. Other than that, it's time for him to move on. But the
But I
thing
don't
is,
think he'll stay.
you see as well, Rondon
holds
got a
the
move
cards
to
now.
CSKA Moscow today as well, so he ain't coming
Yeah.
back. It just makes you appreciate just how good he was. Teams would stick 2 men on Rondon and he'd still win the ball. He's absolute bull of a man.
Yeah. Jay from in Atlanta was saying, any ideas for keeping Hendrick suspended? I would doctor some footage, make those 2 yellows look like a single red. That's the only thing I could suggest, or lock him in a cage somewhere until we play Manchester United, because there's no way I want to see Hendrick back in that central midfield area, even if we're going to get spanked by Manchester United. Some people are suggesting play some of the under 23s, Elliot Anderson maybe, even play Miggy through the middle as well as another suggestion from Dino, and then bring in Fraser.
He was more or less up top, wasn't he? Miggy was the central one up top tonight, and has been the last couple of games, but it was very ineffective. He's not going to be hassling them 2 centre-backs, are they? I want to see Andy Carroll on Lindelof on Sunday. That's what I want to see, because there's only one winner in an aerial duel.
Absolutely bullying Lindelof and giving him a torrid time. ASM on top 4, Miggy. Listen, Miggy looked like Miggy of old when I was, cussing him, saying he looks like a road runner, because he is. But he was tonight. Like you guys have said it. Like he didn't have no end products, and that's what I think that he's missing. Like that's what brings him back down to being a £20 million player, as opposed to 40/50 million pound player. So
I thought he played well today. I've got to be honest. I thought he did well. I like to watch Miggy a lot because I think he's actually quite an intelligent player. I think a lot of fans, are quick to jump on Miggy to say, "Oh, his productivity is not great." He scored 4 goals this season and he's made a few assists as well. You look at ASM and all the talk about ASM. ASM's not pulled out those stats. ASM doesn't run the distances that Miggy runs. So for me, and they cost pretty much the same. Miggy goes up to 20+ million based on performances, but they both cost 16 million. So if you actually weigh the 2 up, Miggy's been the better signing of the 2, in my opinion. Although Maxim has the more special moments that he creates on his own. Miggy, I thought, played well. He makes such good, intelligent runs that are not picked up by our players. Our players are not quick to play the right ball to him. He makes great runs in and behind. I honestly believe if he goes to a better team, he will absolutely flourish, and we'll be saying, "Wow, why didn't he play for us? Like he's playing for them?" It's because we haven't got the players that know how to play to his strengths. You look at Gini Van Alden, for example. He scored 10 goals pretty much on his own that season we went down. And he then went to Liverpool and absolutely tore it up and ended up being a Champions League winner and a Premier League winner. We slated Moussa Sissoko, and I was the worst one. I did not like him and rate him as a player at all in his last couple of years at Newcastle. But after a bumpy ride at Tottenham, he's now becoming a key player for them. And some of his recent performances this season have been very good in a better team. I think Miggy does the same. And you've got to have the right players to be able to be intelligent enough to find those runs and those movements if you're going to impact a game. That's just my opinion on Miggy. Not everyone will. But
valid point. And the thing is, well, you know what you're going to get with Miggy, don't you? He's always going to put that shift in. He's always going to chase down everything and work his absolute knackers off. A couple of things just weren't coming off for him tonight. He was a bit unfortunate here and there, but he still puts in twice as much effort as ASM, who was just giving the ball away left, right, and centre, and really put us under pressure. And obviously gave Jamal Lewis no help at all in defence. So he played us into trouble quite a number of times in that first half. And do you drop him for Ryan Fraser for Sunday? Possibly.
I wouldn't say drop him, but I would rest him. We've lost Callum Wilson right now. And against those weaker teams, those teams that are lower down in the league, the ASM will have moments to win as a game. And the one thing we don't want is to go in a game at Old Trafford with the likes of Man United, who probably will win 2 or 3-0 maybe, is for ASM to pick up an injury that rules him out for any of those games. That's what we don't want. So for me, Would I play him? I'd bring him off the bench if we're in a position where we could get something. And I'd play Ryan Fraser. Ryan Fraser hasn't had a run of games either. He's played 2 games here or there and then got injured or been ill or for whatever reason not played. Give him a run out. He came off the bench and had like 5 minutes tonight. Give him a run out. Play him at Old Trafford and see if he can make a difference in that team. So that would be me, and I'd be saving the likes of ASM for Wolves and to say, right, go and attack their team and try and get us some points. Like I said, Wolves don't travel well to us and haven't recently. So, and they're not playing at their best right now. I know they beat Southampton, but they're not playing at their best. And that for me is the game that I've earmarked to say, right, that's where we can turn our season around. That's where we can define our against the likes of Wolves and then away at West Brom.
Well, that brings us to a close. Again, we've lost to Chelsea. What else is new? Manchester United up next. I'm sure we're probably going to have the same sentiments in the next game as well. Thank you to Sam for coming on and making his debut on Geordie's Down South.
Took you long enough to ask, giving me 2 minutes notice as well.
I mean, look, I put you on your toes, mate. You came in, you did a job. That's what I want, mate. That's what I want. And as always, thanks to Pete as well, man, for coming on and giving his opinions as well. Thank you for listening, guys. And as always, I'll see you on the next one. Also, make sure you follow Sam on Newcastle Fans TV, of course. I'm sure you guys do already.
I interviewed Alan Shearer last night. Go and watch it.
All right. And interviewed some guy called Alan Shearer. All right. And obviously go and follow Pete as well on Twitter as well. His handle's there in his bio. Take care. Enjoy the rest of the evening. Peace.